This is the saddest time of Iron Man, because he was beaten so badly. He was a comrade who was born and died with him. He fought with his own enemy. Just now, Tony saw a desperate image. His father Howard was smashed to death by the Eastern Army with an iron wall. His mother was also stabbed to death by him, and the US team did not tell him the truth. Their revenge of killing his father is not public. Tony did not want to fight the US team, but the mayor's method tried his best to prevent him from stopping his own revenge. He wanted to take down the Eastern Army with one move, but he didn't expect that this guy's iron wall was so powerful. He wanted to launch an attack, but the US team used a microbomb. The US team was hit by the US team. The US team's iron wall was on Tony. At this time, the US team tried to escape, but the Eastern Army ran away first. The US team smashed Tony's propeller. Baji was about to run away. Tony launched a missile at Baji. Baji was killed by Tony, but at this time, the US team came back to life again. The three of them fell to the ground. Tony lost his patience. Tony started to fight with the US team. Baji was holding the US team's shield. Tony was very embarrassed. But Tony still found a chance to attack the US team. But the Eastern Army was under Tony's pressure. But the Eastern Army was also a super warrior. Baji was not Tony's opponent. Tony found an opportunity to stop the core reaction team of the Iron Wall. The Eastern Army was defeated. The US team launched a missile at Tony again. The US team got the lead after suppressing the energy speed. The US team was much stronger than Tony. The US team was much stronger than Tony, but Tony was not able to win. Bad news is that Tony already set the battle analysis system in this system. Tony automatically created a target system after scanning the attack method of the US team. The US team also said to their men for the first time. Baji distracted Tony. The US team attacked. Tony was thrown to the ground. After Tony was shot by Tony's shield, he decided to end the battle. Tony did not want to give up. He chose to destroy the reaction team. But Tony lost his ability to fight, so he left in a hurry. Tony, who was defeated, reminded the US team, "You don't deserve it. My father made that." The US team also felt guilty, so they left the shield and went home. From then on, the two big plots of the Federation were completely cut off. Not only them, the whole Federation has actually broken up and started a civil war. And everything has to start with this agreement, because the Federation accidentally bombed the continent next to it in the process of stopping the terrorist attack, causing countless casualties. This action caused dissatisfaction among the people of the world. Even the King of Wakanda openly opposed the Federation. The US government had no choice but to snipe the Federation. The Russian general said that although the Federation had been risking their lives to protect humanity, but they also brought people beyond their imagination in the process of action. For example, the New York bombing in the Federation. It caused countless casualties. The Washington bombing in the United States. 3 space mothers were in the air. Countless. Deaths were also caused when they fell. The worst was the Sokovia War in the Federation. The whole city was blown up with high-altitude bombs. I don't know how many homes were destroyed in order to prevent something similar from happening. 117 countries around the world jointly formulated a Sokovia Agreement, which is even more sophisticated than the dictionary. It means that the members of the Federation should either sign on it. From then on, any action should be under the control of the Federation. Either roll up your sleeves and go live an ordinary life. This made all the members of the Federation suddenly explode. What is unexpected, the most unruly Nazi Tony? He was the first to state that he would sign on the agreement, accept any supervision, because there is no rule, there is no judgment, and to calm the people down. This is the best way at the moment. But the United States, which has never obeyed the rules, resolutely opposed, because he thinks that once everyone is under control, then most likely the Federation will become the weapon in the hands of the powerful. The initiative should be in the hands of the reliable, but he only believes in himself. The two sides also buried the seeds of the Federation Civil War. 3 days later, Wakanda was about to declare the Sokovia Agreement at the United Nations. But the next second came terrorists, actually blew up the old black bag in public. The Crown Prince specially investigated the history to avenge his father. The police soon found out from the surveillance that the criminal was actually the good brother of the United States, Dongbing Baji. But Baji said he had lived in seclusion for a long time and had never participated in a terrorist attack. Although Baji has not recovered his memory at this moment, but the United States still has no mercy for him. He had to escape with Dongbing. But the next second, a grenade broke through the road. The United States immediately used a shield to cover it up. only a large number of special forces were able to do it. But these soldiers were not two super warriors at all. Baji quickly broke through, had directly crossed the opposite continent and prepared to escape. However, a shadow suddenly appeared behind him. It was the black bag that rushed to the sandstorm. The black bag itself is also a superhuman being that has been enhanced by the stargrass. In addition, he is good at close combat. He used a sound shock to create a black bag. Baji soon envied Jiafeng. Even if he didn't practice fighting, he ran with his legs. After the black bag used the shield to pull the wall to the neck, the United States also rushed forward. These three people ran faster than cars at full speed. Dongbing can't get rid of the black bag. He grabbed two motorcycles at a glance. Bute was caught by the black bag before he could get far. At this time, the United States also drove a semi-truck to pick up the Audi and arrived in time. He desperately dragged the black bag. But this also led to the arrest of the three senior special forces, and all the medical equipment was confiscated. Dongbing was locked in the special prison of the military. Tony reported to the military. But the premise was to let him sign a control agreement. The United States resolutely disobeyed. The conflict was escalated again due to disagreement. At the same time, Baji was undergoing psychological evaluation. But halfway through, the whole building suddenly stopped. The psychologist also revealed his true face. He just took out a notebook, then read the strange English in front of Baji. After reading, Baji became more and more furious. Even the lock of the prison couldn't get him out. When the US team and the hunter arrived, Baji was out of control, became a violent machine that only knew how to kill. The expression was popular everywhere. Soon he was broken by Dongbing. Use him all the way to kill through the building. Tony often took out a watch with nanotechnology. Although not all nanotechnology, but it can also do some simple armor skills, even able to shoot bullets. But after all, without armor, body-to-body combat, Tony is definitely not Dongbing's opponent. Fortunately, Guaji came to their rescue. I didn't expect that even a bomb like this would be useless to Dongbing. Kindly invite him to eat seafood, but he was mercilessly blown up. Without a battle, the black bag is no longer Dongbing's opponent. Soon, he broke through the fence and went to the helicopter. In order not to let him make a mistake, the US team tried their best to save him. Even a classic scene of pulling the plane with bare hands. Baji manipulated the plane with a propeller to kill the US team. The US team avoided it and fell into the lake together. This time, the US team saved Baji. Then he took Tony and Baji to a plane crash. The magic is that this explosion stimulated Baji's brain to restore itself, and he remembered all the memories that had been manipulated. He said that there are more than one winter soldier like him. Each one is a well-trained elite. The purpose of the psychologist is to get all the winter soldiers out of Baji's chaos. If he succeeds, the consequences will be unimaginable. The military police are ready to attack the US team. Tony is still fine, and said that he must bring the US team back in 72 hours. Guaji said he wanted to catch Baji alive and hurt him, because their current team is very difficult. So Tony thought of a helper, came to the Queen's residence, found a boy who had accidentally saved his life. Now he can't be alone and become Spider-Man. But the US team on the other side also has no evidence. He asked Carter's niece to help bring out the equipment that he and Lian Ying were confiscated. It turns out that Carter's niece was also taken by him. Then he found a better voice actor and wanted to help him. He even recruited Malin Scott, who suddenly changed size. He used this team to stop the soon-to-be awakened winter soldiers. However, Tony has already found the US team's position. At this time, both sides have their own ideas and do not compromise. A negative internal war also emerged. This is also the first time Spider-Man has appeared in the Soul of the Avenger. What surprised Tony was this guy is a pure bad guy. He keeps talking as soon as he appears, so he hid in the dark for a year and shot a weapon. Malin also took the opportunity to take back the shield for the US team. Thus, the first internal war of the Avengers was officially won the Black Panther, and the US team's authentic shields fought fiercely. It was difficult to tell the winner. At the same time, Scott's random big and small changes also caused Guajier to suffer a great loss. After all, this is the first time I have seen such a magical ability. It's easier to find Lian Ying and Baji directly. But what surprised Baji was, their unstoppable iron force was unexpectedly intercepted by Spider-Man. Peter's physical quality and strength are top-notch. Lian Ying and Baji soon lost the battle. Tony stopped Hawkeye and Wanda. Hawkeye is a weak sword. Wanda's spring shooting technique controls the car to fly in the sky. Hit Tony to the ground and can't move. Malin used the Fanta Dart to cooperate with the US team. but the car was hit in the middle of the attack and hit the heavy tank. The situation was good. The US team led the heavy tank to prepare to board and leave, but was quickly intercepted by Spider-Man. So the 12 superheroes on both sides were all in position. A 2-6 team battle was won. Black Panther went straight to Baji. Baji explained that he was not involved in the murder of the old Black Panther. But Black Panther didn't believe Gwaji and his good friend Hawk. I were also fighting Wanda really couldn't stand it. Peter said he was Iron Man of the US team, but Tony didn't hesitate at all. After all, he knew who was the father. The only thing he didn't understand was, but what I don't understand is, in practice, the US team can pull over Spider-Man. Then, Peter was controlled by his shield, which does not follow the laws of physics. Scott used his ability to shrink with the key of Hawkeye, put it inside Tony's armor, pulled off a lot of wires causing some system failure. Fortunately, this set of armor has a self-cleaning function. This drove him out. The situation was very tense. It's just a waste of time to keep dragging on. There was no choice but to use his unique move. Transform into Ultraman. After transforming into a big man, he was particularly difficult to deal with. Wanda had no choice but to team up with him. But this also saved the US team. With this attack, he and Baji could leave first, but the tracks of the two were seen by Gwaji. What surprised people was Gwaji counterattacked and knocked down the Black Panther behind him. Let the US team and Baji successfully catch up with the plane and escape from here. Tony and Roderick immediately flew into the sky to catch up. Hawkeye couldn't catch up and had to stand behind. Or wanted to knock down the Hawkeye, but was blocked by a bunch of serious Roderick. Tony and Hawkeye put down everything to save Roderick. But it was still a step too late, although it was an internal battle. But none of them wanted to get hurt. But there was still an accident. Hawkeye felt guilty and shot Tony, thanks to the War Machine's reconnaissance. Although Rotor was safe, but ended up in a high-ranking corruption, and Gwaji, who contributed to all this, was too ashamed to face Tony. He said, "This is the character of the US team. It is absolutely impossible to give up what is determined. Instead of continuing the internal battle, the consequences are irreversible. It's better to let him go." Tony also understands his thoughts. He also wants to do his best to minimize the loss. It's just that theme, thought, and concept are different. Now that Gwaji's counterattack incident, the United Nations has officially issued a notice against him. Gwaji can only step on the road to escape at the same time. Tony's Weiwu mobile phone received a message from a smart steward. The message shows that the psychologist who made Baji run away is also called Zimu. He was originally a Special Forces soldier of Sokovia. It seems that it was because of the Sokovia incident caused the Japanese to come forward to revenge. The key is that all the clues show that Baji, who blew up the old black bag, was robbed by someone else with a human face mask. No matter how obvious the fraud is, the other party must have planned it. Tony realized that he may have misunderstood the US team. He may now be trapped in a trap and in danger. So he found Lian Ying, who was taken to prison. After telling the US team that it was about to face danger, Lian Ying also chose to believe Tony, causing him to go to the place where the US team was. Going, Tony can't take care of his injured left hand, still wearing a war medal. It's just that I never thought. This trip will be a nightmare that he will never be able to forget. At the same time, Zimu has arrived at the secret base of Johto. This is where he trained the Japanese soldiers. Now these soldiers are all trapped in the ice. When the US team and Baji arrived, they found the door was wide open, so he didn't dare to be careless and sneaked in. This time Tony also sensed. He said he already knew that Baji was being framed. Now Zimu must be prepared. He wants to help the two sides fight against each other. 3 people came to the base together. I didn't realize that the black bag was coming. What surprised me was all the soldiers who were frozen were shot in the head. It looks like it just happened. Zimu appeared in the isolation tent. The US team's shield can't pass through the glass. He said his family was all killed in the Sokovia War. Hick knew that even if he woke up the Japanese soldiers, he couldn't take revenge on the Soviet Union. So, that's not what he was trying to do. If this is the only way to completely break the Soviet Union. First frame. Baji. For this kind of action is just cool. The real killing move is the adult video in front of you. Tony saw in the video. Baji killed his own biological parents. And the question he cares most about now is the US team supporting you. The US team's response made Tony feel like the sky was falling, so he can't care about the love of his life anymore. He must avenge his father and mother today. That's why Tony was shot by the US team and Baji. In fact, he was also helpless in the US team's ideal. But if he could explain to Tony early, this kind of scene might not have happened. And in the end, it doesn't matter who wins and who loses. The cash chain has been broken from the inside. He has achieved his goal. At this moment, he just wants to reunite with his wife and children. It's just that the black bag in Muru stopped him. I saw that